Hello, everyone. I'm Joey King. I'm the Director of National Sales here at ValueLink. We're proud to be a part of this session and continue supporting appraisers nationwide. At ValueLink, our focus is on building end-to-end ecosystem for the appraisal industry, one that connects appraisers, lenders, and AMCs with the right tools to simplify workflow and grow their business. This summer, more than 2,000 appraisers joined our UAD 3.6 training series with Joshua Wallet. That helped the industry understand the why behind these changes. Now it's time to shift to the how. Our friends here at SFREP will lead you through a practical walkthrough of the new URAR reporting format. For appraisers, we also bring these updates into the Connect by ValueLink system, our platform designed to help you manage orders and stay compliant with less effort. It's just one piece of how we're building a bigger ecosystem of support. Today's session is about showing you exactly what UAD 3.6 means in practice to you, so that you can feel confident and ready, when it shows up in your assignments. Um, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Matt now, and he'll be able to take over and show everything to you guys that you want to see.
Hey, thank you very much, Joey. I really appreciate it. And I promise everyone, I don't intend this to be a big commercial for my software. So don't worry, it won't be. But thank you, everybody, for showing up. I really enjoyed seeing where everybody was from down in the comments. If you haven't checked out the comments, usually if you're on the desktop or laptop version of YouTube, they'll be either over to the right-hand side or they'll be down below. That's where you can ask some questions. I'm going to try to keep up with it and keep looking at it so that I can keep up with those questions. But lots of cool people here. I've seen a bunch of different. Let's see if I can move this out of the way. We're seeing a bunch of different people. A couple people from my neck of the woods. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I saw some people in here from Greenville, South Carolina, and somebody in here from Gastonia, which is right on the other side of the river from me. So welcome, everybody. And feel free to talk amongst yourselves. Now, what we're going to do here is I'm going to go over some information about the new UAD. I'm not going to have this be a really big CE level course for you. More, we're going to go over kind of the timing of the new UAD, and then we'll go over kind of some things you might want to know if you haven't been doing any CE with it, or if you're not very familiar with it. And then I'm going to show you our UAD interface in Appraise-It Pro. We, I think, are going to be the first software company to actually launch the new UAD and have it be workable so that you can actually deliver a UAD 3.6 report. I know that this week we are going through the final demo phase with the GSEs, with Fannie and Freddie. And then once we get approval, we're going to launch our beta test phase, our public beta. So right now you can actually use and play around with the new UAD 3.6 interface in Appraise-It Pro. All you have to do, even if you're not a customer of ours, we offer the software free for 6 months. So I'll go over how you can actually download the software and play around with it. You don't even have to give us a credit card. There's no strings attached. You can play around with it, see if you like it. This is going to be important because now is really the time that you're going to want to check out what everybody else is doing. And I go to all the shows. I'm friends with the folks at ACI. I'm friends with the folks at Bradford. I'm friends with the folks over at a la mode. And I can kind of tell you where they are too. I know that a la mode is going into a public preview phase, but they're not going to have their true interface ready to go. They're saying, I believe, November right now. Bradford Technologies, they are launching their web-based version called Nighthawk. They will not be ready until January. And then ACI, I have not sure where they are. I know that they did have a public beta. I'm not sure what their timeline is to be per se. I'm thinking December or January, but we'll see. But we hope to have ours available later on this month, probably within the next week or two. You'll actually be able to sit down and actually do a UAD 3.6 report. But none of you have seen an order for a UAD 3.6 report yet because none of the software can deliver it. So that's kind of where we are. Even though the early access period started on the 8th of September, none of us are yet ready. We really wanted to be ready by that date, but it just, I guess I would say the GSEs are being very picky. So we're having to go back and forth. And we're actually finding some bugs in their system too that they're having to fix. So that's kind of where we stand. So let's go ahead and take a look at the new UAD 3.6. As I said, my name is Matthew Johnson. I'm the Director of Communications at SFREP. I'm over here in Charlotte, North Carolina, but most of our operations are up in the mountains of Western North Carolina, kind of clustered around the Asheville area in a town called Silva. And then we also have sales presence both in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which is where we're technically based, and the Greenville, South Carolina area as well. But we all work from home, so it's kind of distributed. I've been with the company for 19 years. It's a great company to work for. That's why I work here for so long. Most of the people at the company have been here for more than 10 years. We're a small company. Of the big four, we're the smallest. So what we're going to be going over here is the UAD 3.6 in practice. And what does that mean? That means I'm going to show you how we are actually going to be having you fill out a UAD 3.6 report. Keep in mind the way that SFREP is doing it is going to be different, very different from the way that ACI and Bradford are doing it, and it's going to be somewhat different from the way that a la mode is doing it, although a la mode is going to be doing it a little, very kind of similar to what we're going to be doing. So as I told you before, UAD 3.6 did go live for what they call the early phase production on September 8th, but no actual reports have actually been done yet because none of the software is yet ready. We're going to take a look and you'll see the actual UAD 3.6 in action in Appraise-It Pro. And we're going to talk about the, what the changes mean for your workflow. So a little bit about SFREP. Once again, I don't want this to be a commercial for us, but I want you to know who we are. We were founded back in 1983 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The full name of our company, people try to say SREP. It's SFREP. It's not pronounceable. But Software for Real Estate Professionals is what it stands for. And we pioneered DOS-based real estate appraisal software. So a lot of people come up and they're like, hey, are you guys new? No, we've been doing this since 83. We're actually the second oldest software company in this industry, the oldest being ACI. They're 3 months older than we are. So back in the early 90s, one of the co-founders, now our founder is Wayne Pugh. He's a real estate appraiser. But he had a partner who was doing the programming and technical side of things. And back in the early 1990s, they relocated to the scenic mountains of Western North Carolina, and they brought the company's technical operations with them. So the programming, the tech support, all the technical side of things. So today we continue this legacy with, as I said, a dedicated sales team that's mostly based in the upstate of South Carolina, a couple of people down in the Baton Rouge, Louisiana area. And we've got our highly skilled technical team up in the mountains of Western North Carolina. And then, of course, there's me, the outlier. I'm over in Charlotte, my hometown. Had to move back here about 2 years ago to take care of my parents. So a little bit about our flagship product, Appraise-It Pro. Back in 2019, just before the pandemic, we rewrote our software from the ground up. So we had an older software package called Appraise-It. Then we launched Appraise-It Pro, and now we call Appraise-It Classic. There's still a number of people that are still using it. As you guys know, appraisers don't like change. So sometimes it's like pulling teeth to get them to move over, but eventually they're going to all have to move over because we're only going to have the new UAD interface in Appraise-It Pro. We completely overhauled it. There's no additional code used. This is a clean sheet project that we did, and we developed it in the current Microsoft development environment. So if any of you have a programming background, we did it in .NET framework, okay? It's the same development environment that Microsoft uses for a lot of their projects, including big chunks of Microsoft Office. And so that's why when you use our software, and you can see a screenshot there, it's going to look a lot like Microsoft Office. So if you use Office, you're going to feel fairly comfortable in our software. Because we rewrote it from the ground up back in 2019, and we're on a current modern development environment, we are able to do the new UAD 3.6 interface in what's called WYSIWYG, or what you see is what you get. And that means that with our software, you're going to be filling out a graphical representation of the printed version of the report. So a UAD 3.6 report is going to, I'm going to go into some technical details here for you. The UAD 3.6 report, when you deliver it, our software, everybody else's software, is going to spit out a zip container file, zip that you've known for decades, that same zip. Inside of that zip file, there's going to be the MISMO XML. That's the 3.6 version of it. All of the photos and attachments and addenda, like exhibits that you put into the report will be in there as well. And there'll be a PDF of the report. So you can think of the MISMO XML file as being the computer readable version of the report. And then the PDF is the human readable version of the report. So what we're doing is we're presenting the new UAD 3.6 to you as if it was you're filling out the PDF report. So that's the paradigm that you've been using for decades now. You've been filling out a graphical representation of the finished report. Now, what ACI and Alamode are doing, what ACI and Bradford are doing is they've chosen to do a web-based version, and you're going to be, they've called it the TurboTax method. So you're going to be filling out a little bit of information, then you click next, you fill out a little bit more information, you click next, and you won't actually see the finished report until you get to the very end. So a little background on the UAD 3.6. So way back in 2018, wasn't that long ago, but boy, it feels like it's a long time ago. The Federal Housing Finance Agency directed Fannie and Freddie to revisit both the UAD and the forms appraisers use to complete their reports. So we've been using, of course, for those most of you know, we've been using these reports since 2005. And then prior to that, we had the 1997 forms. And then when we came out with UAD 1.0, or actually now it's UAD 2.6, when we came out with that UAD, what they did was they used a lot of abbreviations so that they could shoehorn more data into the existing report types. And that made everything really hard to read. My wife, we'd recently sold and bought a house. She looked at the actual finished appraisal and was like, what's C3? What is all this? I don't understand what all these cryptic abbreviations mean. And I was like, oh, there's an addendum back here in the back that'll explain it to you. And she just handed it back to me. She's like, you understand this. I have no idea what this is. So that's one of the cool things about the new UAD is the PDF that it's going to spit out is going to be very human readable. So the end user is going to be able to read and understand the report. So the GSEs interviewed dozens of industry stakeholders, lenders, vendors, appraisers, AMCs, trade groups, and government agencies to better understand the greater appraisal ecosystem's needs and pain points. We have been doing this with the GSEs for a couple of years now, having monthly meetings and going over it and everything. A little bit more background. The GSEs set out to design an updated appraisal data set that could handle all relevant property types and cover data points that were missing from the initial implementation, as well as a completely new data-driven dynamic report that adapts itself to each appraisal. What does that mean? That means that the report, there's no more forms. It's just a report, and it's a report to rule them all. So you'll be able to check a checkbox, use a pull down, and as you start answering things and filling things out in the appraisal, behind the scenes, further down, off screen, things will start happening to morph that report into the report that you need. And they're also going to be collecting quite a bit more data as well, which means you're going to be collecting a lot more data out in the field. During their work over the following years, they maintained a relationship with industry stakeholders to get ongoing feedback. That's the meetings that we've been doing with them at least once a month for the last few years. And then the end result is a near universal report that is flexible enough to handle any property and can be added to easily, and old data points can be removed if no longer needed. That's a very important paragraph right there. The report is near universal, meaning that this report pretty much handles every use case, and it morphs and changes to match the type of appraisal that you're filling out. So if you're filling out a appraisal on a single family home, it's not going to show you information that would be pertinent to a trailer or a modular home. And then the other part of that can be added to easily and old data points can be removed if no longer needed. So this is going to be able to be changed as needed. So a good example to this, and we'll go over it here in a little bit, and it's been causing a lot of consternation with a lot of people, is a question about broadband. They want to know what type of broadband is available to a given at a given property. I think that's a good candidate for one of the ones that's going to get removed first, because or it's going to get changed at the very least, because when they wrote that question, when they wrote that data point, it was before Starlink actually existed. So now that Starlink, for the most part, is available everywhere, there are still places in valleys and mountains and stuff like that where you can't get it, or with tree cover. But for the most part, everybody can get Starlink. Now that question is a little bit more fuzzy and maybe doesn't apply, because it is a pull down, and satellite, they don't count as broadband, and they're thinking of things like Viasat or HughesNet as being the satellite, and they're not counting that as broadband. But Starlink and other low Earth orbit satellite systems like Project Kuiper is one, and I think there's a French company coming out with one as well. They most certainly would count as broadband. So I think that's one of the ones that's going to get removed. And then if they need to in the future add additional, maybe fiber optic becomes really important, or some other thing becomes really important to the value of a home, then they can add that easily. So the timeline, let's go over the timeline real quick. As you know, we're currently in what's called limited production. That's going to last from September 8th, and that's going to go all the way to January 25th of 2026. During this time, most of you will probably not see a UAD 3.6 report. As we get into January and February, that's when you're going to start to see these trickling down. Sometime next summer, maybe late summer, you'll probably get to a point where there's going to be a balancing point where you're doing 50-50 of the old UAD 2.6 reports and 50% of the new UAD 3.6. So you got a little bit of time, but don't procrastinate. You're going to want to go ahead and get all your ducks in a row for the new UAD 3.6 now. So the next date is broad production. That starts January 26th of next year and runs through November 1st. And that is going to be the transition period where, like I said, you're going to start doing and seeing more and more UAD 3.6 orders. And as we approach November 1st of next year, you're going to be doing 99% of those are going to be UAD 3.6. And by the way, I can tell you right now, a lot of people are like, oh, these dates are gonna push back, because that's what they've done in the past. They are very, very, very adamant that these times are not going to slip. And they don't care if the software vendors are ready or not. They are going to stop accepting UAD 2.6 on November 1st. You can take that to the bank. Trust me, they are very adamant about that. So the next time is going to be the mandate date. That's November 2nd of next year. And that is where everything is going to be, all new orders are going to be UAD 3.6 as of that date. So a little over a year from now, it's going to be all UAD 3.6. But there's another date that a lot of people don't know of, and that's the retirement date, May 3rd of 2027. They expect that there are going to be some revisions that are in the pipeline for UAD 2.6 reports, if there happen to be, but they expect that all of that is going to be out of the pipeline. Everything's going to be flushed out, and it'll be only UAD 3.6 by May 3rd of 2027. So let's talk about the new MISMO. A lot of people don't even know what MISMO is. MISMO is a type of XML. So at the core of UAD 3.6 is the move from MISMO 2.6 XML to MISMO 3.6 XML. You can think of XML, I think it's extensible markup language. You can think of XML as kind of like an offshoot of HTML. So if you've ever built a website, this type of code right here will probably look fairly familiar to you. And it's the same concept. But what XML is it's a way to have kind of universal data. It's like a universal data format. And the type that we deal with here in the appraisal industry is a particular flavor of it called MISMO. So MISMO XML, both the old version 2.6 and the new version 3.6, is the computer readable, parsable version of the report. It's embedded within the MISMO, embedded in that MISMO XML is also the PDF, and that's the human readable version. They'll also have the PDF file inside the zip file. This new expansion to the dataset allows for the digital equivalent of the maxim, a place for everything and everything in its place. They have available data points for almost everything. There's like 3,000 of them. You've heard that number, by the way. Don't let that number freak you out. I'll go over why that's not that big of a deal here in a little while. So with MISMO 3.6, every single field, data point, exhibit, and image within the report has a corresponding home in the XML. That's more important for the computer side of things. What's important for you guys and for the humans involved is a PDF copy of the report, and that'll still be included for human reviewing. Now, client computer systems will no longer need to rely on scraping the PDF to obtain data missing from the XML, as all data is now present. What that means is that the current MISMO 2.6 doesn't have a place for photos. The photos are only contained in the PDF. So if you open up a MISMO XML, there's no photos in there. In the MISMO 3.6, the photos are going to be attached. And that's going to be important for machine learning, for AI. That's the big buzzword now. AI is going to come into this where they'll be able to look at those photos and the computer can see the photos as it's parsing the actual report. Now, a lot of people worry that the reason the GSEs are doing this is to build up a database and train AI to get rid of appraisers. That's not the case. I get where you're coming from on that. Really, this is all about efficiency so that they can review these reports automatically without having to have humans that have to sit there and read through things, gumming up the works and making things go slower. Or so they say. The GSE's new URAR is a massive departure from the forms of today. And they don't like you to say the word form. They want you to say report because there really is no form. It's just one report. So instead of there being multiple reports and filling things out and, taking things out and adding things in, it's going to be a dynamic report that alters itself to suit the assignment with fields and sections appearing and disappearing as needed. And so it is going to, this new fancy report is going to replace all of the existing UAD 2.6 reports, including the 1004, the 1073, 1075, all of these listed here are going to be replaced by one report type, one actual report. Now, there are actually 3 reports that are part of UAD 3.6 because there is a dynamic version of the 1004D. And so there are 2. There's the review report, the update report, and then the completion report, and then the main report type, the URAR, the dynamic URAR. So the new URAR, you can see in this little video here, filling out the new URAR, text and photo addenda are no longer needed. Everything is going to be where it needs to be. Sections can dynamically resize to fit their content. This allows for all report content to be presented contextually. So if you have a photo of some damage to the siding and you talk about how it can be repaired or it needs to be repaired, then that discussion that you're going to have, that narrative part that you're going to put in there about that photo is going to be right next to the photo. So contextually, what you're saying is going to be right where the photo is. And that is going to be in the proper section of the report. Photos and text all appear in the relevant sections in the report. And so I talked about this new paradigm, and it really depends on who your software provider is. Now, the GSEs, Fannie and Freddie, left it up to the software vendors how they were going to present the new UAD to you. So on the screen right here on the right, this is a PDF printout of a example scenario. So this is what the human readable version looks like. This is what the printed version is going to look like. That's going to be given to the buyer, the seller, or if anybody at the bank or the AMC needs to look at it, this is what they're going to see. And so what we tried to do was to mimic this so that you could fill it out. So with the old static forms, everybody's software functioned at a basic level identically. So this is, on the right, this is Appraise-It Pro showing the UAD 2.6 report. Now, one of the cool things about Appraise-It Pro is that in one software package, in one program, you're going to have your old forms and the new URAR in the same place. And I apologize if I'm missing some questions here. If you want to hold your questions to the end, I'll have you put them into the chat, but feel free to talk amongst yourselves, please. But this is the current UAD 2.6 being shown here, the current URAR. And it's going to look very similar to what you probably have in your software if you're not using our software. Okay, so you can, in WinTotal or in ClickForms from Bradford, it basically all looks the same. We've figured all this out, and one software is pretty much the same as the other. Things are in different places, but it's very similar. So it wouldn't actually be a stretch that you could technically feed a blank 1004 into a typewriter and fill it out. That would be very annoying and time consuming, but you could technically do it even with the current UAD 2.6. You will not be able to do that with the new dynamic URAR. I've had a lot of people ask me, hey, can you send me an example report or a blank report so I can kind of fill it out? No, because that report's going to be completely different dependent upon a variety of different factors that you actually fill out as you're going along. So as I said, some software vendors, including SFREP and a la mode, were able to build a dynamic engine that lets you interact with a representation of the output report directly. So this on the right-hand side is the new UAD 2.6 interface in Appraise-It Pro. And you can see, look at that, and then look at that. They look very similar to each other. That's what we're going for. And as I said, with ACI and Bradford, you will be kind of filling out a TurboTax kind of approach to things. So you're going to have to it's web-based only. So you'll have to upload your exhibits. You'll have to upload your images, things like that. Over here on the right is ACI Sky Workbench. You can give you an example of that. This is what it would look like if you were using it on a computer or an iPad. It's an actual Windows-based version, it's a web-based version of their software. But you're filling out a web form essentially, and then it's going to spit out the report at the very end. So all the software vendors have been involved with the UAD 3.6 development process. That's why we're all friends at this point. We've all been working very hard on it. And, the launch of the limited production was, back in September. And we've been working with this specification since the spring of 2023. That did not give any of us very much time. We wish we had another year. We asked for another year. They were like, absolutely not. So what I tell people is, maybe SFREP is not going to be the right choice for you, but whoever your software provider is, go look at what everybody else is doing. Look at what a la mode's doing. Look at what ACI is doing. Look at what Bradford's doing. Call them, talk to them, ask them about their timelines, watch their videos, because you're going to have to make a break from your old data anyway. You're not really going to be able to use any of those old reports from UAD 2.6 because there's only about a 6% overlap in data from UAD 2.6 to UAD 3.6. So you're not going to be able to use any of that information anymore. So now's the time to make a break if you've been wanting to try somebody else. I would encourage you to look at everybody, including us, of course. So when you're out in the field collecting data, there are 3,000 new data points in the new UAD. Technically, yes, but that's a bit misleading. Dependent upon, that's the total number of data points. And that covers every scenario: condos, townhomes, duplexes, trailers, manufactured homes. That covers everything. So no, you're not going to have to collect 3,000 data points. Maybe you're only going to have to collect 800 of them. But you're going to want to be guided in that process. So a couple of questions. And the first one is, do I have to use a mobile app in the field? I've heard a lot of people in different CE classes coming away from it saying, yes, I have to use a mobile app. Technically, you do not. As a matter of fact, we're going to be the only software provider that is actually going to distribute printable checklists for you to go out into the field with and go through those. And, it'll help you in collecting data. If you're a clipboard warrior and you want to stay that way, where you can actually, collect data, fill out this little, worksheet that you can print out for different scenarios, because you'll know what you're going out to actually inspect. I do, however, think that you will be much happier using a mobile app. We are going to have a mobile app that will work on any platform, including on an Android phone, an Android tablet. It'll work on an iPad. It'll work on an iPhone. It'll even work on Chrome OS if you have a Chromebook. And of course, it'll work on Windows and Mac OS. So you can take any of those devices out into the field and you'll be able to collect data with it. We plan to launch that somewhere around the Thanksgiving timeframe is what we're aiming for. We're also going to be integrating with a third-party mobile app called Instaplan, and they will also offer data collection and sketching in the field. A lot of people ask, am I going to have to use Scan to Sketch? This is something that Alamode has had for quite a while. And the answer is no. But once again, it might be a quality of life improvement for you. We are going to introduce Scan to Sketch in our app probably in the spring of next year. What Scan to Sketch is it uses the LiDAR sensor on any of the Pro iPhones or the Pro iPads. You can think of LiDAR as light-based radar, so kind of like laser radar. It'll put a dot pattern out, and it's able to measure using those dots, those little laser dots. You don't see them. They're infrared, so you can't see them. But it's able to kind of plot out the room around it and make measurements. And so you can basically just stand in the middle of the room and turn around, and it's going to catch all of the corners for you. And then you'll probably have to clean it up a little bit, but you can measure a house much quicker that way. So no, you don't have to use it, but it is there. It's going to be available to you if you wish to. Instaplan is also going to have that Scan to Sketch feature right away. A big question I always get, how do I measure the elevation at the front door? People overthink this question so much. You do not have to be exact here. It is a pull down. I think it's in 1/2 foot increments and 6-inch increments. They want to know roughly what the elevation is from the ground level to the front door. So they want to know, is this house on a slab and it's right at ground level and it's maybe susceptible to flooding? Is there a walk up to it and it maybe has a front stoop? Or is it on stilts because it is next to a river or it's on the coast? All you got to do is just drop your measuring tape and then eyeball it. They just want to know roughly how high it is. Will I have to upgrade my computer for the new UAD? In most cases, nope, unless you have a really old computer. What's today? Today is October 14th. Guess, everybody, what today is. Today is end of life day for Windows 10. You didn't know that, did you? Today is end of life day for Windows 10. If you're running Windows 10, as of today, Microsoft is no longer supporting it. You're not going to get security updates. It is time to upgrade your computer to Windows 11. Don't upgrade your OS. Most Windows 10 computers can't go straight to Windows 11. It's going to be time for you to go out and get a new computer. We actually do webinars here at SFREP that are open to everyone, even if you're not one of our customers. You can go to our YouTube page, youtube.com/SFREP. Got one coming up this month, I think, where we kind of go over what's out there for computers in the market now, and I'll be happy to help you out with that. Will I need an ultra-fast internet connection? Ultra-fast, no. You're going to want to have broadband. For ACI and Bradford, this is going to be much more important than it would be for Alamode or SFREP, because you're going to be interacting with a web page, and you're going to have to upload all of your images, upload all of your PDFs and exhibits. So yeah, you're going to want to have a good fast internet connection if you're using one of those two softwares. Now, Alamode and us, we're going to be application-based, so it's not as important. You're only going to have that fast internet connection when you actually deliver your report. But everybody pretty much has broadband at this point. So if you've got at least DSL or Starlink or anything faster than that, you should be fine. Now, for collecting data, remember, I'm going to circle back around to what I talked about with broadband. What counts as broadband? DSL, fiber optics, cable connection. That's kind of it. Or a cellular connection like T-Mobile home internet. That counts as well. They do not technically count satellite. And like I said, this was all done before Starlink was really a thing. So I would expect that to be changed. Over here on the right is a great website that I found. It is, I think, I've tested a bunch of them. It's finally the government did something good. And they put out this FCC National Broadband Map. You can access it at that link in the lower left-hand corner, broadbandmap.fcc.gov. Great website. You punch in the address and it tells you all of the different services that are available at that address. So I don't live here anymore, but you're welcome to look at it. 10949 Painted Tree Road, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28226. That is the house that I grew up in. And you can see there, at that address, you could get fiber to the premises through AT&T. You could also get HughesNet, which is geostationary orbit satellite. They do not count that as broadband. You can get Spectrum cable internet. You can get Starlink, which is near geostationary orbit satellite. This is basically, Starlink is about 300 miles up. HughesNet is 26,000 miles up. So you can see where latency would definitely come into play there. And you could also get T-Mobile home internet, or you could get Viasat satellite, which they would not count as well. So great website. Really would encourage you to go out and check it out and play around with it. And then how do I get reliable information about what broadband services is available in the property? That's it right there. Now you could ask, you could also, see what kind of modem they have when you walk in, but this is going to tell you what's available. So looking ahead, the GSEs have published a wealth of information on the UAD 3.6. You can go to either fanniemae.com/UAD or sf.freddiemac.com/UAD. I use the Fannie Mae version of the website. I think it's really great. There's a lot of example stuff in there. There's a lot of technical stuff that's not going to apply to you guys, but there are some appendices in there that you can kind of run through and kind of figure out the UAD 3.6 and play around with it. Continuing education providers have their own offerings for UAD 3.6 training. I did the one with McKissick. It was really great. I know there's a couple others out there. Champion has a really good one. And the software vendors will be publishing training materials specific to their programs as well. Expect that from us. As a matter of fact, we have a new software trainer. Her name's Lindsay, and her job is if you decide you want to become a demo user of ours or move over to our software, she will log into your computer, install it, make sure everything is working properly, show you around, and she'll even hold your hand, and I'll be doing that too. She'll hold your hand when you get your first UAD 3.6 report and show you how to input all that data in our software. Of course, we'll be doing these webinars as well. So we're getting ready to get down to the nitty-gritty. I'm going to show you Appraise-It Pro, but real quick, I want you to write this information down. I don't know how many software providers will do this for you, but I want you to contact me directly if you want to. My number, this is my office number, 828-919-9082. We all work from home. I'm from home. That's why it looks like I'm at home when you look at my background. But we have a fancy voice over IP system that we connect all of our locations with, and it allows me to text from my office number. So feel free to text me. It's always the best way to get in touch with me. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. But you can call me too and leave a voicemail. 828-919-9082, or you can email me directly, matt@sfrep.com. Okay, so now let's actually, one more thing. I want to show you this. Get your pen and paper ready as well. This is how to contact us as a company. Software for real estate professionals. Our main number is 800-523-0872. And I encourage you to go to training.sfrep.com. You can see all of our videos that we have posted there. Plus, you can see our training calendar. And of course, you're looking at us right now on YouTube, youtube.com/SFREP. Okay. So let's pull up Appraise-It Pro. Doing a lot of switching here in the background. I'm a one-man operation here. This is Appraise-It Pro. When you first start the program, you are in an area called the backstage. If you are a user of Microsoft Office, this is going to look very familiar to you. This is just an area where we're going to tell you some information that we have. But the meat and potatoes is really under new, and you can see here, I have both UAD 3.6 reports available to me, and I have UAD 2.6 reports available to me. So if I come in here and I open up a UAD 2.6 report, you can see in the same software, it is the regular report that you guys are familiar with right now. I can now close that, come over here to File, and now I'm going to open up a UAD 3.6 report. Remember, there are 3 different versions: the compliance, the update, and then the main URAR. I'm going to double click, open up the main URAR, and here we are. Questions that we always get: do we do templates? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, if I go back over there, I've created 2 templates here that I could use. Well, actually, one of them is the default template, but I can actually have a template here. The way we treat templates is they are nothing more than a regular report file that has been promoted to template status. So you can come into your report, pre-fill it out, put different exhibits in there, different images in there, save it as a template, and you can use that as your starting point. In the regular UAD, we do allow you to move things around. You can basically make the report your own and have it in whatever order that you want. However, you cannot do that with the UAD 3.6. This is all a fixed order because they want the sketch to always be here. They want the market history to always be here. Okay, so you cannot change this order. Now, if I want to actually open something up, like maybe I come down here to the sales contract section, I can double click it. It'll open up in a tabbed interface up here at the top, kind of like a web browser. And there is no sales contract in this blank report right now. So all it says is there a sales contract? No, and that's it. This would obviously not be included in a report. It's just basically here to show you that there's nothing there. But as soon as I say yes, now things start filling in below. And there's going to be there's a lot of check boxes. There's a lot of pull down menus in the new UAD 3.6. I would say maybe 60% of the report is check boxes and pull downs. There's a lot of it. Come over here to the contract price and just like you would in a regular report, type in your contract price. The date, I could type in a UAD formatted date if I want, or I can use a date picker here. I'll just choose October 1st. And then transfer terms, I don't know, short sale. Total sales concessions. I can start typing in here. I'm just going to type some gibberish, but notice how the actual field just gets bigger. And that's because all the text fields in the new UAD 2.6, they expand. So you can put as much information in here as you want. Sales contract analysis. Obviously, you're going to need more than one line there. All you have to do is just keep typing in there, and that section there, just trying to do a little bit quickly here. I have a really loud mechanical keyboard. It's just going to keep growing and grow to the length that it needs to be. And remember, this is not necessarily exactly how the final report's going to look, but this is a decent representation of how it's actually going to look. And then if you needed to put some sales contract exhibits in there, well, you could hit add remove images there, and you could put one in. Now, this is where when you're playing around with the current public preview of Appraise-It Pro, you have to put something in here as an image. However, when around the probably Thanksgiving timeframe, we're going to allow you to put PDFs in here. And why is this? Well, the GSEs, the only thing that we can include in that zip file that gets delivered to the lender is an image. It has to be a JPEG image. So if you put a 30-page PDF into a report, and this is the same with all the different software vendors, we have to convert that into a series of JPEG images. So the GSEs do not want you putting 100, 120-page PDFs into your reports. You can put that in your work file, but they don't want you putting that in there. So be cognizant that every time you put a PDF in here, that has to be converted into a JPEG image and sent along. And JPEG images, black text on a white background, can't really be compressed. So it will start to make your report get bigger and bigger. So be liberal or be conservative with how much of how many of these exhibits you put into your report. Okay. Let's see if I come down here to the sales comparables. Actually, when I show you that, I'm going to actually show you a filled out report here. So I'm going to come over here to open, and we're going to open up the single family residential scenario that was included in the examples that you can get on the GSE website. And that's a great way for you to actually follow along. You can go download one of the PDFs for the single family residential, and you can actually take that information and fill it out in the report to kind of get familiar with the actual report. So if I come to subject property, you can see I have my image here, and then I have a bunch of pull downs and check boxes. And this is where things start happening. If you start filling out subject property right here, attached or detached. Well, if I say attached, it now knows that I'm probably talking about a condo, or I'm talking about a townhome, or I'm talking about a duplex or something like that, a triplex. Things start happening down below. If I select that it is detached, then it probably knows that I'm thinking more than likely about a single family home. and then additional checkboxes down here. I like to show the sales comparable section. And we have side-by-side comparables. I've been told by Alamo themselves that they are not going to have this until January or February of next year, maybe even later. We're going to be launching with it. Side-by-side comparables. You can scroll down here and see all the different information about all the different comparables. Right now I have 3 in the report. If I want to add an additional one, I just click on Add Comparable, and I just keep going out here to the right, keep adding more comparables. If I want to add an image in, I just simply double-click. And I can use this interface to go browse over to a folder on my computer or to the memory card or whatever. And I can just simply double click to put an image in there. And everybody seems to always ask about the adjustments. The adjustments are in here. We also have automatic adjustments. There is a sales comparables adjustments page here that you can set up all of your automatic adjustments. This will not actually be included in the report. This is just a kind of a utility addendum that you can come in here and fill out, and then that will do automatic adjustments on your sales comparables. Now, where we are with all of this, and if you want, you can go to our website, sfrep.com, and we have laid out our timeline. Right now, we are in the phase of a public preview. You can go, you can download it, you can play with it, but it's not ready to go yet. We cannot generate MISMO XML yet because the GSEs have not approved that. So once we get approval, probably in the next week or so, we will release a public beta, and then that version you'll be able to actually fill everything out and deliver a report. At that time, we're also going to have a lot of our sketching is going to be connected into it, mapping is going to be connected into it, and then as we move further and further closer to the new year through Christmas, we're going to be adding in things like, our comp database and stuff like that. That stuff will get added around Thanksgiving probably. Third-party integrations as well. I know we're working on one for ValueLink. Then there's also going to be third-party integrations from people like Spark, from DataMaster. I think Spark's actually getting rolled into True Footage. That they own them now. All of that, they're currently working on all that as well. So that will all be added in. You can go to sfrep.com to check out our timeline on this. But no matter which software you're using, it's going to be a little bit of a bare bones experience until you get to around January. That's when things are all going to kind of come together. So when you do get that first UAD 3.6 report, it's going to be a little bit time consuming when you fill it out for a variety of different reasons. But as we all the software vendors kind of get everything together as we get towards the new year, as we towards that January timeframe, then things will start to come into place. Okay, let's go ahead and show the screen. Now, what I want to do now is I want to take some questions from you guys. I've got the questions in front of me here. So if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them now. I'll be happy to answer them for you. And I just got a text message from somebody who said, what did they say? Let's see if we can get that pulled up here. Mentioned that SFREP offers data collection sheet for the field, as I'm not sure that I'll be switching to mobile appraising in the field. How do I, okay. They were asking about the checkbox or the checklist that we're going to be publishing. That's not currently available yet. It should be available by the end of this month, and you'll be able to print it from Appraise-It Pro. Might be a PDF, but I think it's going to be printable from Appraise-It Pro, then put that on your clipboard and take it out into the field. I do encourage everyone to use an actual mobile app. It will make your life a lot easier, because if you are still using a clipboard, you're going to have to fill things out in the clipboard, then take it back to the office and then fill it out into your appraisal. At the very least, take a laptop with you for sure. All right, let's go back to questions. Man, it's going to go... The questions are going very quickly, so bear with me. There's like almost 1,000 of you in here. Side-by-side comparables is new. Side-by-side comparables is new for us. We didn't have it until the UAD 3.6. We're also going to be adding it into our UAD 2.6. But side-by-side comparables are not going to be available in most of the software vendors at launch. It's going to be later on that they're going to add it. We're going to launch with it. Let's see. The comparable, can you put 2 photos? No, they want 1 photo of the comparable. You can put it into a photo addendum, but they want 1 photo of one good front view photo of the actual property. Let's see. Shouldn't they have approved everything before the set dates? Boy, we were trying. We really wanted to. We're further along in this process than everybody else is. But they have been very picky. I mean, they're very picky in the way it's like this line needs to be 2 pixels up, and we need to have this say this. They've been very picky about it. They also, we found a bunch of bugs on their end, so they've had to correct those as well. Let's see. Yes, what about the 2 photos? Yeah, only 1 photo for the comparables. Do you guys offer an Excel type of worksheet that runs in the background the same way that Alamo does? For the most part, that's what that, comparables adjustment is kind of like that. Also, we have, and we're the only software vendor that does this, we have actually, let me, so you can see my screen here. But we also have external integrations that can come in, and so you can actually connect Excel into Appraise-It Pro. We can either do that for you for a fee, or you can do, if you know how to do programming. We have an entire website, which is api.sfrep.com, where we teach you how to do all of that stuff. I'm running out of time here, guys. Let's see if I can get some of these questions answered. Is SFREP going to release a how-to video series on different sections of the UAD 3.6 software? Yes, we are. I'm diligently working on all of that right now. I do all of the video editing, so I've been working on that. How will invoices be delivered to AMC lenders who need them? That you would double check with your AMC, because I don't think that there's actually a invoice in here. So, but I'll double check on that. Send me an email, matt@sfrep.com, and I'll be happy to look into that for you. Is there a PDF report to store? You can create one, a PDF of the report, but you can always do that. So you could just store your MISMO XML files. They contain the PDF inside the zip, so you could just do that, or you could just print a separate PDF. I'm not taking a laptop into the field. I know, I wouldn't either, but some people do. Let's see. Do we have integrated regression and market analysis? We do. We do have a market analysis. It's a little manual. It's not my favorite. What I recommend people do is use Spark or DataMaster. They do a much better job of that. And listen, we're now 52 minutes in. I've got to hand this back over to ValueLink. There is a lot of people in here, and you got a lot of questions. So what I want to do here is I want to go back and give you my contact information here, okay? So let's get back over here. I'm going to show you. There we go. A lot of switching going on here. So this is my direct information, 828-919-9082. Thank you. I got a lot of texts coming in. I'm going to answer all of them after this, I promise you. So feel free to text me, 828-919-9082. I see them coming in. You may hear the little whoop, whoop. That's my text coming in. Also, you can email me, matt@sfrep.com. I will probably spend the rest of today answering emails from every single one of you, but I will be happy to do it. And then once again, if you are interested in trying out Appraise-It Pro, 800-523-0872. You can also go to our website. So I'm going to show you that real quick, and I'm going to hand it back over to ValueLink here. But you can go to our website. Let me pull it up here. Okay, I'm going to pull it over here so you guys can see it. You can go to our website, and if you are kind of a DIYer and you're pretty good with computers and stuff, you can click on Get Free Demo. That will immediately download the software, save it to your desktop, run the installation, and then on the first run, it will prompt you to register, and you're going to say Get Demo. You fill out a short little form. You don't give us a credit card or anything, and then you can start using the software. You are, of course, also more than welcome to go to call us at 800-523-0872, and we can set up somebody to contact you, log you into your computer, and get you set up with that demo. It includes everything you're going to need, and there is no obligation. There are no strings attached. You get it free for 6 months. Okay, let's see, Joey. I think that's gonna be everything. Let me pull Joey back up here just a second. Oh boy, let's see here. I think it's this. There you are, Joey.
Hey, all right. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
Again, thank you very much for leading the session today. To you and the SFREP team. At ValueLink, our goal is bigger than just today's session. We're building an ecosystem that brings together appraisers, lenders, and technology. That the change like 3.6, we want to make it feel less overwhelming to everyone. So we like to go through and do these kind of things so people can kind of see where things are going and everything. I do know that change is a big deal, and and appraisers they seem to always end up having to change things according to what other people tell them to do and things. And so we want to make sure that we really try to help out as much as possible. Our Connect system, with ValueLink, we try to put a lot of things in there to help with those different changes and stuff, and sponsor these kind of things, and and host them. So on behalf of ValueLink, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you in upcoming sessions later this month. We want to support you through this UAD 3.6 transition, and hope everybody has a great day.
Yeah, thank you, Joey, for hosting this and being here, and I really appreciate it. Once again, I'm getting a ton of text messages right now. I'm getting a ton of emails coming in. I'm gonna spend the rest of the day answering all of you guys. If you have any questions, matt@sfrep.com or 828-919-9082. Hope everyone has an awesome day. Thanks a lot, everybody. Hey, for those of you who are still here, I'm going to hang out in the chat here for a little bit and try to answer some questions with you guys, okay?